We're rolling.
Awesome. So I'll give a brief introduction, Logan, and then we can get started. But I appreciate everybody coming out today to our bi-weekly call. Today we will be diving in depth into TradingView and all the stuff that it has to offer. A lot of people do use TradingView, but do they really get the most out of it, right? That's what we'll be going over today. There's a lot of really interesting and really cool tools to utilize in your analysis, and should definitely look into all the stuff that TradingView has to offer. Logan, do you want to have any words before we jump
Yeah,
into things?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, guys, thank you for coming out, especially on a Saturday night. As always, we greatly appreciate your time and attention. And this one I think is going to be really good because this is a tool that we use every single day. This is a tool that everybody, if you are trading, should be familiar with because when you are familiar with it, it makes your life a hell of a lot easier. So I'm very excited to go over it with you guys again.
Yeah, it definitely makes your life easier, for sure, when it comes to technical analysis. Some people don't like technical analysis, they don't think it's part of trading, but over at OBR, we love technical analysis, and TradingView is the platform that we are very familiar with, so we use it a lot. There's also other good trading platforms, such as TrendSpider, but that is a whole other beast, and we could have some more, Logan, maybe in the future we could have a TrendSpider
Perhaps.
in-depth thing with that. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can hop into the chart. So I should go over here. Let's actually go to chart. Um, Here we are. Right. Okay. So we're on the charts. What is the first thing of business here that we will be going over, Logan?
Let's take a look. I am recording, so unfortunately I cannot access it on my computer.
Okay, I got it. Yes, tools. Okay, so when you guys first come onto TradingView, this is the default look you're going to be getting, right? You're going to have your chart in front of you. You're going to have a watch list on the side. I think when you first make a TradingView account, you don't. Do you have a watch list? I don't know if it
You
puts
do
it up
have
there
a
by
watch list.
default.
It's just a standard watch list that they set you up
Right.
with.
Yeah. So you'll have your watch list. You have all your information about the equity, asset, or commodity, whatever you're looking at, whatever financial instrument you're looking at. You'll have all the information down here, and obviously you'll have your chart, right? Your y-axis, your x-axis, your price and time, and all this good stuff. We will go into this stuff in depth and in the top bar as well here in just a moment. But the main thing that we're going to be focusing on here in the beginning of this call is our left side bar, right? Which is essentially the toolbar. And this is where all the fun happens. This is where you will be accessing all your, not your indicators, but your tools that you'll be drawing trend lines with. You'll be looking at your trade positions, right? You're going long and short. What is your risk tolerance? If you want to apply Fibonacci extensions, retracements, if you want to do wave counts, or if you want to add text to your charts, all that good stuff. If you want to add, icons, all this stuff is over here on the sidebar. So what I will do is I will go start from the top and we'll go all the way down to the left side, and we will cover all the stuff that is viable to use on this toolbar. Logan, do you want to talk about the toolbar or anything you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, this is an area where, especially if you're like Austin and you don't yet know how to work the favorites function, you will spend a lot of your time navigating. But the good thing is because TradingView is so, user friendly, there will be, as Austin will show you in a little bit, the favorites bar, which can really simplify your indicators that you're using on your chart, such as your trend lines and things like that. But this is where you're going to be getting all of those tools that you're using very often from.
Yes, absolutely. So starting up top, and this is actually one of my favorites, and this is just like a very little pet peeve, but you get to decide on which kind of crosshair you want. Obviously, this is the default one. You start out with a cross. You can see my cursor right here. It is like a little plus sign. I prefer mine to be a dot. Some people prefer the arrow, but in reality, it is whatever you want it to be. And then there is an eraser tool here. I believe if you draw and go to the eraser, what is yeah, you can just delete it like that. I don't typically use this tool, but it is there if you want an eraser as your cursor, right? So if you want to quickly delete stuff and just go up there to do that, you can do that very quickly with that tool. But I like to have mine on the dot. I think it's very simple, very, it doesn't get in the way of much, and it's nice and clean, so I like it. Moving on down, we do have our trend line tools. This is where all the fun happens, and this is kind of where the base of most technical analysis starts, right? You're going to be drawing trend lines via, support, resistance, just general trends, channels, all this stuff, identifying triangles, wedges. You will be using this toolbar right here. And many of you guys do know how to utilize this stuff, but we are going over it very briefly. So you have your trend line, your arrow, your ray, your info line. I typically won't use all this stuff too much, depending on what it is. I'll typically stick to the trend line or stick to a parallel channel, but all this stuff is here, and it is very much viable. I know Logan loves to use the horizontal line, right? So, horizontal line, you get to click, and it automatically does a horizontal line, and it goes on for infinity to the right side. Very, very useful if you just want a quick horizontal line thrown in there. You could also apply this manually with a trend line, right? You could draw it over, but you'd have to line it up to be perfectly level, right, with the chart. Again, the arrow, right? Same thing, only you get to have an arrow at the end. This can also be done with a trend line, I believe. You go right here, go to your settings. Maybe I'm wrong. Yes, on the arrow, you can add an arrow to your line, right? So you can absolutely change and customize the way that your lines look, right? You can extend it to the left side, make it infinite to the left side, extend your right side. You can edit all sorts of things with your trend lines and make them very much customizable to your preferences. Logan, do you have any thoughts or opinions on what these the trend line tools offer?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is sometimes if you do spend enough time on this platform, you'll see that if you're looking at those, you can actually hotkey those. So, for example, the horizontal line is Alt-H, and we will show you guys that. A couple of these tools do have that function, and it makes your life very, very simple. For example, if you are trying to identify a support or resistance level, you can just quickly press Alt-H on your keyboard, and you have a horizontal line that shows up for you. Again, obviously, we're using the trend line more often than anything. But all of these tools can be used in their own individual way, and it really comes down to just how you want to use them, right? You can find a million different ways to use all of these tools.
Right, absolutely. In this section up here with the trend lines is more up to your imagination per se. How do you want to apply them? What trend lines do you see? How do you want to use them? Do you even want to use them for trend lines, right? You could also use them to do whatever, right? If you wanted to draw a box with the trend lines, right? It wouldn't be efficient, obviously, but you could do it, right? You could do whatever you want with these trend lines. So it doesn't necessarily have to be related to price action, but essentially, if you want to put lines on your screen to display an idea, you can absolutely do that with the trend line tools up here. Also, I should say that the parallel channels are also very nice if you do like drawing trend lines, right? Because oftentimes a line isn't enough to display your idea fully. A great example of this is, right, we're looking at SPY right now. Let's go down to a 4-hour chart. Typically when I'm drawing trend lines, I will use a parallel channel, so I can do something like this, right? Instead of just having one thin line, I can actually make it a little bit thicker to fit the narrative of what this descending resistance might look like, right? So we can consider this a resistance, right? Started here, resistance, and even perhaps this one, depending on how you draw it. But I love the parallel channels. I know Logan uses the parallel channels a lot.
All the time.
And this can also, and this can also be used for, identifying channels like this, right? If you wanted to draw something horizontally and go like that, right? This very good tool for that. So the trend lines, again, are very much up to your creative imagination with how you want to apply them. Down below, and if you guys have any specific questions about all these indicators, I'm not going to be able to go into in depth about what every single one does, but I will if you have specific questions regarding that. And if you do have any questions, I encourage you to type them in down in live chat VCU, and we'll make sure to get to that. I also found it interesting that I believe recently
this is very recent.
Added anchor very recently, right? They added anchor VWAP to the trendline tab at the tool side on Tradingview, and this is very, very useful. I use it all the time. It's a very quick way, right? Instead of going up to your indicators, which we'll be talking about in a second, to find an anchored VWAP, you can just go over here to your trendline tool, click the anchored VWAP, select the candle that you want it going to, and there it is, right? You got your anchored VWAP from that point onward. Very, very strong tool. I use it all the time, and it can be customized in a variety of ways too. So, I don't know necessarily why they put the anchored VWAP in the section with the trend lines, but I'm not complaining. I use it all the time, right? So all these tools can be very, very useful.
Anchored VWAP does not lie.
Anchored VWAP is quite incredible, and if you guys do want to know more about anchored VWAP and how these indicators work, I definitely suggest going to one of our previous bi-weekly live calls where we do go over trading strategies and indicators and how they work and what they mean and how they can be used in a strategy to make money. Definitely go check those out. Next, we have, and I will start flying through here a little bit quicker, we do have one of the more important tabs, and this is your Fib Retracement toolbox, I guess you could call it. And these levels essentially, or these tools essentially give you the ability to use Fibonacci retracements and extensions, as well as a plethora of other different. Logan, what would you say this is, right? GON, Fib, leading indicators?
So if you actually hover over where you see the Fib retracement, the third box that you're in, just quickly hover over that, go a little bit to the left, GAN and Fibonacci tools. That's what they refer to them to. I think that's going to be the best descriptor of what these do. These obviously all have many different use cases. You have to look into these individually to get a grasp on what they do. But here they are, just so you have them at your disposal if you need them.
Yeah, and I'll be quite honest with you, right? I don't usually use any of the GAN tools, but a lot of people love the GAN tools, especially the GAN fan and the GAN square. I'm not too educated as to how they work or the significance behind them, but I can tell you right now, I am using Fibonacci retracements, trend-based Fib extensions all the time. I also do experiment with Fib circles, Fib spirals, and all of the other Fibonacci stuff. But yeah, that's what this tool, this toolbox over here is for, GAN and Fibonacci tools. It's very, very useful. Again, Fibonacci levels, Fibonacci extensions and retracements are one of the best leading indicators that you can have in a chart. And if you want more information as to how to use those, I definitely recommend looking at the education that we have, as well as some of the videos we have on YouTube, because we go very, very deep into how Fibonacci works. So
yes,
and how it can be used in a strategy. Logan, do you have anything else that you want to say?
Not really about that section, but if you guys are familiar with how Austin and I do TA, we do use the Fibonacci tools a lot, so obviously very important to be able to know where to find those, and in those videos, like Austin said, you'll be able to see how we do use them individually.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then moving on, right? So you have your trend lines, all the lines that you would ever want to draw are up here. Then you have your Fib and GAN tools, and then going down we have our your artistic panel, right? Where you want to draw your shapes. It says geometric shapes for the label, so I guess that's what we'll refer to it as. You have your brush tool, which you're able to draw on the chart with, right? I draw all the time. Some people actually do chart art, right? You can draw a smiley face looking at you, and you can do all sorts of things with your brush tool. Right? If you want to get a point, you want to draw an arrow, this is important, you can go ahead and do that. And then obviously, right, you have your highlighter, which is the same thing as the brush tool, only a little bit thicker, a little bit different. And then you have your different shapes that you can draw. These are very, very significant, right? If you want to get a point across, I use it all the time. Let's say, for example, on SPY, if I'm applying an SMA, right, I can go over here. We can look at the SMA right now. But if I go over to my tools and I want to make a point that these are significant, I can go ahead and use the circle tool, go over here, right, and I can make the circle whatever color I want. I can make it red lines, go over here, and then I can clone it, right, and I can use this to get my idea across, right, and I can do this for every single point here.
Yeah. And
this could be used, right, with every shape, right. Let's say instead of circles, I wanted to use rectangles, right, that could absolutely be used. I want to make the rectangles red. Boom, right, you have your chart right there. It's very, very beautiful. You want to increase the opacity, you want to make it nice and vibrant. There you go, right, there's your box. And the same ideology is used for every single tool over on this geometric shapes side panel over here, right? I don't know what's referred to them as, panels, toolboxes, whatever you call them. But yeah, these are your geometric shapes. There are some obscure ones like the polyline, right? This is something if you wanted to draw some sort of obscure pattern, right? You can do whatever you want with these. These could be used for, in assistance with like Elliott Wave counts, or just, displaying impulsive or corrective waves, right? For example, looking at it like this, right? To broadly understand what something like that would look like. So you could use the polygon tool for a lot. But yeah, very, very useful. Whatever shapes you want to draw. I also use the curved line a lot. Right? Curved line is very significant. Put an arrow to the end of it. Very cool. I use these shapes all the time. I use a plethora of all of these. And it would be ideal, right? You could put your favorite ones, you could star it and have it in your favorites. But if you get good enough and familiar enough with the platform, you'll be able to just use this entire sidebar to your advantage without even having to favorite anything. That's not as easier said than done.
I recommend the favorites bar.
Right. I was just going to say, Logan Silver definitely recommends the favorite bar. We will be talking about that here shortly. But I personally don't use the favorite bar. I just use this entire side toolbar, tool panel to my advantage. But yeah, moving on. Now we have the fun stuff. This is your text box, right? Any notes, any ideas, any sort of arrows, or any price labeling that you want to do will be under your text box. Typically, I'll just use this to display an idea, right? So if I wanted to go over here, right, I have a rectangle. I want to draw this horizontal line right here. Let's lower the opacity so we can see. And I wanted to draw, right, let's say this level is 457. We want to go over to our text. I can put $457. Increase my, the size of my text, change the color to white, and I can move it over here and label my price line, right? So that's what the text is used for. There's also plenty of other ways to go ahead and apply this. You can do it in a call out, right? So you could say, I don't know, local pop, right? Very cool. You can do this and make your charts look nice and pretty. There's also a really cool feature with tweets. I don't have much, I don't really use many charts with the tweet tool, but you insert a link to the tweet and it will show, right, Logan, I'm not mistaken, will it show when the tweet was tweeted, like what the price was at, and then like what happened, right, around the time of the tweet?
I personally have never used that, actually.
Yeah, it's really cool. I see some people use it all the time. I could show an example live here, but I don't want to, go out of my way to do
that. Yeah, we can get to that at the end of the call.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. There's also other things, right, such as notes. If you go ahead and click here, we could say hello, right, and there would be a note right here, and I could go ahead and move that, and you could just hover over it and you'll see hello. So yeah, this is essentially used for labeling things on your chart, right? Very, very important, especially in technical analysis when you're trying to get your idea across to other people. Logan, do you have any thoughts that you'd like to say before we continue?
Yeah, and I encourage you guys, I know that Austin can just be running through these and you might think, okay, like I understand that these are here. I really do encourage you guys to experiment with them because you can do so many things. Like for example, with the note function, you can go back and mark every single time you got into a trade. You could leave why you got into the trade, what was the indicator saying to do so. And it doesn't take up a large part of your screen. You can just leave that there so you can reference it back at any time if you wanted to. You can also mark down historical events. There's a lot of different things you can do. Something, Austin, if you want to go back into that tab that I don't even think you've tried yet is the price label tool, where I know you always draw 457, but I'm pretty sure you can customize that to pretty much the same thing. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is a great way to do it. Again, there's different styles to doing everything. If you want to do something like this, and this is how you can display price quickly, you can absolutely do this. And look at how nice this is. It changes price with you, right? You don't even have to type in and guess what price it is, right? Wherever this marker is, it will show the price. So price labeling is very, very important when trying to get your idea through to another person. Yeah. Very, very important. Yeah, moving on, and again, guys, I'm going to be going through these kind of fast, right? I know I'm explaining everything. We have a lot of stuff to go over, so again, I will be going through these a little bit faster here. Now we're moving on to our patterns, right? This could be useful for Elliott Wave framework or understanding time cycles, right? So you guys have heard us talk about Elliott Wave. It's essentially counting waves in the market, right? So you could say, this was a, oh, well, that would be invalid. This would be an ABC, right? So we could say this is an ABC pattern right here, right? Very, very simple, very quick to use. If you want to go over to your patterns toolbox over here, you'll be able to use Elliott Wave counts right at your disposal with clicks of a button, right? Very, very quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Very simple.
Yes.
And if you want to know more about Elliott Wave, I definitely suggest going back, looking at all the educational videos we have on it. There is a plethora of them. Also, right, if there's some patterns here, I do think that the head and shoulders is kind of obscure in this scenario, but very useful, right? If you recognize head and shoulders, it'll label it for you right away, right? And it shows the neckline. Very useful tool. I use it all the time, and yeah, it's good. I love trading head and shoulders patterns as well as inverse ones as well. So
yeah. Also, if anybody uses if anybody is utilizing like harmonic patterns, you'll also be able to find your XABCD in there, cipher, whatever you would need for that kind of trading.
Right. Absolutely. So Tradingview does cater to a number of different trading techniques, right? They do have a whole section for Elliott Wave principle, right? Which is pretty interesting. Not many places consider Elliott Wave that strongly, but Tradingview does. So there you go.
So we appreciate Tradingview for that.
We do appreciate Tradingview for that, as as people that like to use Elliott Wave. Moving on, you have your prediction and measurement tools. This is also very, very important, right? When I was talking earlier about displaying a long and short position, right? If you wanted to go here and you wanted to say, oh, let's go back and let's look at what this trade idea would contain, right? Let's say if I wanted to go short right here, right? I could essentially put the idea right here, right? Did I just click on a long position?
No, that's the right one.
Position. Yes, yeah. So let's say if I wanted to have my stop loss, let's get rid of this one. If I wanted to have my stop loss nice and snug right here, and then my target would be down here, to whatever, you'd be able to display that idea and your risk parameters just by the click of a button, right? You have your risk, your trade, your stop loss nice and tight right at this level, and then right your profit taking levels down below. So you could display this both long and short. Very, very useful tool. I use it all the time. Right, if you wanted to go long, you have your stop loss right here at a significant level, and then your price target could be up higher. So it's very useful for setting up trade ideologies and where you would like to take profit or have your stop loss set. Also, right, understanding price ranges, right? How much did this this equity increase over this period of time, or well, not period of time, but how much did it increase on the y-axis from this point to this point, right? 12.6%. Very, very useful tool. And there's also a date, what should I say?
Date range.
Date range to use with the price range, right? So if you want to see how long something has been, you can go ahead and see that there, right?
And
so
there's a tool that does both.
What's that?
And there's a tool that does both, right beneath that.
Right, and that's the measuring tool. That's the best tool, right? But yeah, the date tool, right? Since this correction started back in January 4th, we've essentially been kind of chopping around for 87 days now, right? And that would be visualized by this date tool. Very, very useful. And like Logan said, there is a measuring tool right down below here.
I was actually referring to the other one.
Oh, which one?
The date and price range.
This one. Yes, yes. And this will actually stay on your chart. Is this actually very similar? Oh, wow. It's like identical.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing. So Tradingview will give you, multiple uses, multiple buttons for the same use, I suppose. But yeah, this will display both time and price, right? So over this period of time, which was roughly 51 days, the S&P 500 dropped 14.5%, right? You can see our X and Y axis is here, and it shows the information down below with how many candles, how many bars, the volume, all that good stuff, right? Very, very useful. Also, and I'll get over this, very quickly. This is also something I use a lot, which is the bars pattern, right? If you wanted to take a fractal from something, you can go ahead and copy it, and it will copy the pattern, and you could go ahead and lay that over, right? If you were speculating for a fractal to repeat, right? And you could, do speculate for price action like that. Very, very useful. I use it all the time. Yeah, there's a bunch of other really good things in here. I recommend that you go in, dive in, mess around, press buttons, utilize things that you're not used to utilizing, and get comfortable with the platform, because there's a lot of stuff to use. All we've only covered 5 different things on the toolbar so far, and there's already a plethora of things that you can do to help you with your charts. So
yeah, really fast.
And then we have your,
I do get a lot of questions regarding the long and short position. Do you mind pulling that back up?
Sure, let's do it.
So in the long and short position, it provides something that is actually very useful when talking about your trade, when you're relaying information to others, when you're tracking it yourself. And that's risk to reward. That's something that we talk about quite a lot, which means essentially if I'm risking $500, what am I going to make on top of that, right? If you make $500, that's a 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio. So if Austin pulls that back up, you'll be able to see right in the middle, it does tell you your risk to reward based on your stop loss and your take profit.
And you can see when you hover over it, it'll show all these things.
Yes.
So you can fit, you can fit a trade in a risk to reward trade ideology that fits best with you, and you can visualize it on your chart. So it's very useful. I use this all the time. I know, Logan, you use this all the time for your trades.
Yeah.
Right. You always try to visualize it. And then obviously, right down below, you do have your icons. The icons can be useful for arrows, right? If you want to draw an arrow, you can change the size. Go up here, you can change the color. You can make it pink or teal or whatever color you desire. A bunch of different icons that can be used for a plethora of different things that you would like to display on your chart. So very, very good. I do like that they have a Bitcoin sign. I think that's cool. So happy that that's there. Moving on, right, then we have the measuring tool. The measuring tool that I showed previously on over here with the date and price range, it's essentially the same thing, only that the moment that you click here, right, you'll click it and you'll put it there, but the moment you click anywhere else, it'll completely disappear, right? So it's very temporary. If you want to quickly just find something out, you're not necessarily looking to explain to anybody or showcase an ideology, but for yourself, you just want to know quickly how low did this thing drop and what time, right? What was the measurement behind this movement? You quickly find that out, and then you click somewhere else. You just click the screen randomly, it goes away. So very useful. This tool right here, your zoom in, right? If you click, you can zoom in to your chart. I don't typically use this often because I am I'm zooming in by using my X and Y axis. You can see my cursor going over here. Anytime I drag down on my Y axis, the price will get squeezed together, and anytime I drag up, the price will expand, right? And then if I go down to my X axis, same thing. If I move right, the price action will squeeze together, and then if I move left, it will spread out, right? Very broad. So you can use the zoom in and zoom out tools, but I typically don't go to use those. I just manually change how I do my charts with my X and Y axis. So Yeah, almost done over here with the sidebar. Next, we do have the magnets, which is interesting. If we go over here to a strong magnet, this essentially will snap trend lines on to places of significance, I believe, right? So yeah,
Yes.
right now, you see
It's actually like incredibly annoying to
snapping on.
use.
What's up?
In my opinion, it's incredibly annoying to use, but it snaps it to the closest point.
Right. So it'll snap on to areas of significance. You can see here, my cursor is not on it, but yet the trend line wants to snap to price. Right, so you can make this magnet strong or weak, however you want. I typically just keep it off, but again, that's up to you. This is for keeping your drawings locked, right? If I want to draw something, I keep it locked. After this, I should not be able to what can I not do? What does this do? Why am I not? I was under the assumption that this tool will make it so you can't get rid of anything, you can't move anything. Yes, this completely locks it. I'm not sure what this does. I was under the impression that this tool, again, I don't use this too much. Stay in drawing mode. Okay, that's what that is. Stay in drawing mode.
So perhaps so if you have that on and then you draw a trend line, instead of having to click back on the trend line, it may just have the trend line automatically. Yep.
That's what it is. Yes. I don't typically use that often. I'm very manual, and I go back and click the trend line every time. This is a very useful function. I was under the impression that it kept your drawings locked, but that's the lock all drawings tool. So this is cool, right? So if you wanted to draw trend lines, typically if you have this button off and you draw a trend line, right, it'll reset and you won't be able to draw it again without going back to the button that you pressed. But if you keep the tool stay in drawing mode on, then you can just repetitively draw trend lines without going back to click on it. That's very useful.
And to stop that, by the way,
did not use that.
Yeah, and to cancel that out, you would just right click instead of left click.
Cool. Very nice. Yep. And then after this, we had the lock all drawing tool. That's if you wanted to have a chart. You didn't want anything messed up with it, right? You had some drawings. You drew some trend lines, and you wanted them to stay like that without, being able to change anything. You can lock your chart, and these will essentially be locked in place with your chart. So very useful if you just want to have stuff stay put and you don't want anything to get messed up. So let's go ahead and unlock there, get rid of everything here. There we are. And that is essentially your left side toolbar here. We do have this one other tool where, if you have a plethora of drawings on your chart, right? Let's say we have a few circles. And again, guys, I'm not trying to draw price action. I'm just drawing stuff on the chart. If you want to click here to hide your drawings, you can go ahead and do that, right? And this will also hide any wave counts, anything that you essentially put from your left side panel on here, it will hide those drawings, right? With just a click of a button, then you can bring them back if you'd like to. So very useful. I use this all the time when I'm trying to clear up an ideology, or when I do my market recaps at 3:30 here at OBR. I usually will have a bunch of TA on the chart. I'll quickly go over, press this button to clear things up, just to look at price completely naked, just to see it for what it is. So very useful. And then down here you have your garbage button, right? If you want to remove an indicator, remove a drawing, that's what you would go ahead and do, right? So if I have a trend line, I draw a trend line. Go ahead and make it thicker so we can visualize it, so people can see it. And I click on it, and I want to delete it. Boom.
The garbage button, if you have like multiple trend lines, it will delete all of the drawings on your chart.
Yes, the garbage tool is very useful. Yep. Or you can just click on each one and just delete them, with backspace. Pretty sure, right? Oh no, you can't. You have the garbage tool right up here with your line on its own toolbar. So very useful, very useful. So you can either click on it up there or on the drawing that you drew. So that is the entire left side toolbar of Tradingview. Now I know that's a lot and we did jump around, but essentially what this is doing is to encourage you guys to go and mess around with this stuff to make your charts more, if you want to convey an idea, you want to convey a trade ideology that you had, or something that you were trying to visualize, right? Anything that you're trying to showcase or make clearly, comprehensible, the drawings and price labeling can be very, very useful for that. So that's a huge feature of Tradingview, and that essentially is what makes Tradingview, right? Without being able to draw trend lines, Tradingview wouldn't be that important. So this is a major part, and then obviously the hotkeys, right? Very, very important as well. If you want to be more efficient, if you want to be quick with the software, right? You can see that there's hotkeys for certain tools. Logan, I'm not sure. Can you apply hotkeys to different tools, or
no.
Is it just by default? These are what we have.
Yeah, those are the default ones. You can't unfortunately change them.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Awesome.
So next we'll move into. I was just going to say next we can move into add and changing indicators.
Yes, absolutely. So, Logan, do you want to kind of talk about this before I keep on rambling about
Sure.
how indicators work on TradingView? And
Yeah,
all
absolutely.
that stuff?
So we'll start with how to add indicators. And as you can see on the top of Austin's chart here, it is one of our tabs. You can see there is an indicators tab.
Yep. Right here.
So there, it will showcase the TradingView library as well as the public library. So the really cool thing about TradingView is instead of having to go to an external provider like ThinkScript and having to download an indicator that may not be built in, TradingView has that stuff already there for you that anybody, you or your neighbor, can add to TradingView, and anybody can add to their chart in the Community Scripts tab. So if you need any indicator at all, there's a good chance that TradingView supports it. Somebody probably put it up there. Yeah. So obviously
There's
that's
a plethora of community ones.
there's thousands. Yeah, thousands. And there's also a lot of different kinds. Like if you, for example, type in ORB, you'll see due to it being a public library, there are many different kinds of ORB indicators, so you can really cater it to what you need. But this is how Austin and I and all of us obviously are putting all of our indicators on our charts. Austin, do you have anything about to say about the indicators and strategies tab?
No. I mean, I think it's the same thing with the tool side, right? Anytime that you're going in this, you're diving into the indicators tool up here to look up a new indicator. I mean, don't be afraid to just be like, oh, I just want MACD, right? Go ahead and look at the community scripts, right? Dive in, find an indicator that you think is unique and different. Maybe see how you could utilize it to your advantage. Definitely go through. I recommend using built-in scripts. I don't know about you, Logan. But typically I prefer built-in scripts, and essentially what that means is, right, if you type in MACD, you'll see the technicals, right? So these are like built-ins, and these will be essentially, made by TradingView and not made by another person, so I would consider them more reliable. Would you agree with that, Logan?
I would agree with that to some extent. I will, for example, go to the public community scripts, though, if TradingView does not support something that I'm looking for in particular. But yes, I do try to stick to the built-ins because those are usually, the indicators that you'll find on every platform.
Right. So I type in RSI, and you can see that right here, the built-ins on TradingView, or you have your relative strength index, which is the classical RSI. You have an RSI strategy, which will label your RSI, more visually on your chart. Your Connor's RSI, I'm not too familiar what kind of RSI that is, and then you have your stochastic RSI, right? So, and then, go down more, you have your entire community scripts, right, which is just, you're just in this big world of different indicators, and there's hundreds of different RSI indicators in community scripts. Maybe even thousands, right? RSI, Relative Strength Index, is one of the more popular ones, and you could just scroll on forever in the community scripts and maybe find something really interesting. So definitely take a look on your indicators tab, and don't be afraid to experiment with it.
Yep, and if you are finding a set of indicators that you use quite often, you can add them to a favorite section in that tab. As you saw, Austin had MACD, moving average, two MACDs, and an RSI, stochastic RSI, things like that on his favorites tab, so he can access them very, very easily.
Yep. And some indicators, guys, will be on your top left right here when you can visualize them by clicking the eye up here. But some will also be on your bottom screen, right? And this can be changed, I believe, if you want to. You can.
So you will go to the So what you'll do is that's what it is right there. You got it. You go to the bottom. Yep. Just move pane up or move pane down, whatever you need to do. I know a lot of people that actually do play around with that. And as you saw, Austin got rid of them rather easily. He did that by just double-clicking on his chart. Yep, you can remove those two indicators on the bottom. Those indicators that Austin has on the top left of his chart, that's showing everything that he has on his chart at this time. So as you can see, he has quite a bit of different indicators. And they do have that eyeball, which is the show button. You can easily hide them if you do want to see price a little bit more clearly. And then right next to that, you'll actually be able to go into the customization options, which is the gear. Here is where you'll be able to change the inputs for your indicators. So for example, if I ever say that I'm using a 533 stochastic, that means I went in and I changed my settings to 533. Or if you're using anything different for a MACD, I know the standard setting is 1226. For example, you can make that longer or shorter depending on what your system requires.
Right. Yep.
Lots of different options.
26.
Yeah.
Yes, you can completely customize any of the indicators on TradingView, especially the built-ins. The built-ins will give you more freedom for customization.
Yeah.
So when it comes to colors and inputs for the numbers that are being considered.
Yep. You can also pick where they're going from, right? I know we talk about VWAP a lot, and you can use different equations to find where your VWAP starts. I know it goes open, high, low, close, and open, high, just for example.
Sources.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And like Austin was just showing, you can very easily customize these in terms of colors and making them fit your aesthetic. Like Austin has this blue and white aesthetic going on right now.
Yeah, and it's important. It's funny that you say that. It's very, very important to make sure that you enjoy what you're looking at, right? Because if you're a trader on this market and you're, day trading and, constantly looking at this screen, you want to make sure that it's comfortable for your eyes and that everything makes sense and it's nice and neat and organized and that things look good, right? So very, very important to make sure that your chart is not clustered, that it's very clean cut. You don't want to have, like, even though I have 5 indicators up here, you notice how I have them all off for the time being, right? I don't have them just completely all on at all times, right? It's not going to make my chart pretty and it's not going to help me, right? So I try to have a very clean chart at all times, very, very tidy. Logan, I think that's something that not a lot of people talk about, right? And I think it's important.
No, absolutely. And, that is something that I noticed TradingView does a lot better than other scripting programs, is that you can very easily hide your indicators if you don't want to see them, which to you and I is very important, and I think it is to most people, because you do want to keep your chart relatively clean so you can observe price and you're not too distracted.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's really the bulk of TradingView in essence, right? We went through the indicators and your tool tabs. That's where a lot of the analysis is going to be done. A lot of the other stuff is going to be managing what you're looking at and what kind of information you want to see. So moving on, right? If anybody has any questions about the indicators tab that we didn't go over, again, we're going over briefly how to how to operate TradingView, how to use it, how to navigate it. But these things you can dive deep into them. So if you have any questions of specifics that we didn't go over in these sections, I definitely recommend you to ask away, and we'll go over that.
Yeah, Austin, take us into the next one, because this kind of is a good segue. We were just talking about making your chart more aesthetic. The next section we wanted to cover is changing your background and your candles.
Absolutely. So if you click on your chart, right, you right-click on your chart, you will get this this bar pattern, all this stuff to choose from. You want to go down to your settings, and here you will be able to have the freedom to customize your chart for the base layout, right? And that's what color are your candles and what color is your background, what color is your price line, all the stuff that you need to do when it comes to customizing your visual chart settings. And here, like Logan said, I have my blue and white aesthetic. If I want to change it to blue and red, right, I can go ahead and do that. And you'll notice how the colors change to blue and red. I kind of like that. I think it looks cool. Maybe I want to do a little bit of a lighter red, right, to fit that softer look. So very cool. I like how that looks a lot. And then obviously if you want to go here, you want to apply your last price line, right? This is the last price that SPY closed at. I can go ahead and change the color of that, right? I can make it red, or I can customize my chart completely. I personally like to have my price line off, right?
Yeah, and that's actually a really important section you're on right now, because you can also have your pre- and post-market price lines, high, low, average price lines, bid and ask lines, all very important stuff that you may need to reference throughout the day.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, you can set up session breaks in here. You can add a watermark. I know some people like to have the watermark on their chart. I believe that's in the Appearance tab.
Yep, and the Appearance tab is where you can start going into changing your background and stuff like that. And the background is quite interesting. Some people will go crazy with their backgrounds. I just like to have a normal, plain, dark background. But you can either have a solid or a gradient background. You can change these colors how you want. This would be red, right? You can change it to green, yellow, whatever color you want. However you want to make your chart, you can go ahead and do that, right? I mean,
that is sickening to look at.
yeah, right. But yeah, and then you just go back, press the undo button, and you can do all that stuff there. And this is just complete customization of your appearance, right? That's all this is, complete customization. The watermark is pretty cool, right? If you wanted to show what you're looking at on what time frame, right? We can see here that we're looking at the SPY 4-hour chart. So very cool if you don't, if you want to show people in the background what you're looking at, so they don't have to go to look at the top left. It's very useful. I typically don't use the watermark. I just like to keep stuff clean cut. But yeah, it's very, very good. Yeah. So Logan, do you want to? I mean, we could dive in deep with a lot of this stuff, but essentially, right? The settings button on your chart will be revolving around appearance and how you want things looking.
Right. And we can move into our next thing now, which is just alerts, and we don't have to go too deep into this, but essentially, the alert system is something that we use quite often, where you can set price level alerts, you can set alerts for certain indicators. You can do this by right-clicking on your chart or going to that little plus sign that Austin has on the crosshair, if you're hovering on your chart. And then if you click on that,
oh yeah.
Oh no, sorry. So if you have your price, your crosshair, you can see on the right next to where it says 479.61.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So you can quickly, if you press the Add Alert button, and then go to Customize, hover over that. Edit.
Yeah. Edit.
Yes. You can actually have it send you an email. You can notify you on app. You can.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you can customize this to whatever you really need. You see, even says crossing. You can set it to bounce from. You can set it to a lot of different things. Yeah, it's very, very useful.
Right. So if you're walking away from your computer and you want to be alerted or notified when a price crosses a certain threshold, you can do that with the alerts, right? And it'll give you a little ping, whether that be with a audio over your computer or even like what Logan said through an email. And I even saw webhooks in there too. So there's a lot of customability when it comes to alerts in Tradingview. Very, very useful.
Yeah. You could even set it up on your MACD. So if you wanted to be notified when the 15-minute MACD crosses, you can set an alert for that. So it's very, very useful stuff.
That's very cool. Absolutely. So yeah, definitely. I don't know. How often would you say that you use the alerts tab, Logan?
I use it more than most. I think I use it more than most.
More than most.
Just because I like to be aware of where price is going. I like to have notifications on my phone just hit me up whenever price reaches a certain level. I'll set like probably 10 to 20 alerts a day.
Yeah. Some people use it more than others. I'm not a big fan of it again, and that's just because I'm looking at the screen all day, so I don't really need an alert. And Logan is too, but some people just like it. But it's definitely useful for people who need to take a step away but still want to know what's going on in the market. So very, very simple. You right-click, you press Add Alert, or you can press this little plus sign over here by your price, and you will be able to add an alert very, very simply like that. And then if we go down to on the right side tab, you'll actually be able to see a little alarm clock on the right side, and you'll be able to visualize your alerts here. And again, you can see that my history with the alerts is like nothing because I don't use the alerts much. But yeah, you'll be able to use that, and you could restart it, right? You can go back and see what alerts that you've set in the past. So very useful, very, very useful that everything's there for you.
Yeah. And then just to quickly highlight, sorry, was there something you wanted to say?
No.
Just to quickly highlight, there is a very, very useful function on TradingView if you are backtesting, or if you want to quickly look back at what happened prior in time. You can use the replay tool, which is very, very helpful, just by going back and removing all of the candles up to a certain point, so you don't really get hindsight bias when you are looking back on your charts. It's very, very useful to see how something played out. If you like to backtest your system, there's a lot of great uses for the replay tool.
Yep, and if you guys want to know how to operate the replay tool, it is right up here on the top. You'll see replay, it says bar replay, and has the two little arrows pointing backwards. You click on that, and then you will get this horizontal line. And you will essentially click on whatever candle, right, you want to start at. Let's say I want to start at this candle, and it will get rid of all the price data after that point, and it will be deleted, right? And that's what Logan was talking about. This is very useful for back testing and kind of visualizing price before seeing what happened after, so you can get rid of that bias to really back test your strategy, right? A lot of people could actually look at this chart and make the case that we might be going higher, but in fact, right, you press the play button and you'll be able to quickly see what happened to the S&P 500 after that. You can also, there's a lot of freedom to this. You can change the speed in which this moves, right? So if I go back here, get rid of it, and I want to start right here, I can go right here to my little tab, and I can make the speed update every 2 seconds, right? So now if I wanted to show a video, right, every 2 seconds a candle will print, right? And what is that useful for? Well, I guess it's useful for whatever you want it to be useful for. I typically have the speed set on high. I like it to show it very, very quickly. But again, it's very, very useful for back testing on TradingView. So yes, I use the replay tool all the time.
Awesome. So Austin, do you want to take us into chart types and multiple charts on the screen?
Sure. So yeah, do you want me to start with the multiple charts on the screen?
Go for it.
Here?
Go for it.
Yeah, so if you guys want to, I'm typically the type of guy that likes to look at one chart at a time. I know many of you probably have multiple monitors to look at, to view multiple charts, but let's say you're the type of guy that wants to look at 4 charts on one screen. Well, you can do that on Tradingview. You simply go up to this little box up here. It's a little square box next to your undo and your advancement button, right? Your undo redo button, and you click this, and you can click any kind of chart layout that you want. And it's very cool because, right, if I wanted to go over here and I wanted to sync my layout with everything the same, I can go over here to the 4, and I'll get 4 charts of SPY. Or well, I guess this is.
You could change it if you wanted to. Yeah. So if you click on that one, for example, and then just click on that, and then if you click on the box and it's highlighted, you can type in a ticker and it'll bring that one up. So you can look at,
Cool.
the same ticker on 4 different time frames, or you can look at 4 different tickers, whatever you wanted to do.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know why it. I thought it was going to show 4 SPY charts, but I guess it didn't.
It could if you change them all to SPY.
Right, I'd have to manually do that, right?
Yes.
It doesn't just automatically do it, right? It pulls from your watch list. It seems like it's pulling Bitcoin from my watch list here, but it has 3 SPY charts right here. Very interesting. But again, right, once you get this up, you'll be able to, go about it however you want, and change what you want, and cater it to your liking. But typically I like to just have one chart there. And again, if you have multiple monitors, you can just open up another tab for Tradingview and do it that way. But for my one monitor folk, right, there's a lot of stuff that you can do for customization when it comes to your. Oops, I need a bigger monitor for that one. It says so. These are for the larger monitors, I guess. But yeah, very cool. And then when you're talking about what was the other topic?
Different kinds of charts, like Renko charts in the top left. That you got it.
Yeah. So this. Yeah, when you say different types of charts, I suppose we could call this different types of like ways of visualizing price action. And so you can have your candlesticks, you can have your price bars. A lot of people do use the bars, and these all kind of display a different way of looking at how price moves, how their open and closes interact with previous price action. I know a lot of people are big fans of Heikin-Ashi candles, right? If you guys don't know what Heikin-Ashi candles are, it essentially will try to keep you away from fake outs and will try to display the trend more clearer despite the actual candle closing red or green. But yeah, there's a plethora of different ones to use. I definitely suggest checking those out, right? If you just want your chart to be aligned, you can do that. Complete customization. I like to have candlesticks be my main way of visualizing the market, but again, there's a bunch of different ones here for a reason, and people use them. So I don't know if you wanted to expand on that at all, Logan.
Nope, that was good.
No.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's different things. I encourage you guys to experiment. At one point I was experimenting with Renko charts, so there's just a lot of different ways you could visualize price. And next
Absolutely.
we can move into templates for charts and for indicators. And this is actually something that I was just showing Austin that I use quite often. It's incredibly valuable to me. We can start with the charts. If you go up to the top, as you can see, it says $250 nano on Austin's chart, but in reality, that is just the name of his chart layout. If you go down to the new chart layout, you can make a new one. If you go to load, you can load an existing one, and all this will do is, let's say you have TA on one, or a set of indicators on one chart layout, you can have another chart layout with different TA, different indicators. It won't mess up any one of the charts, which is very, very useful.
You will need an advanced version of Tradingview. I believe right now I'm on the Pro. I think you need even something higher than that to get this. But that's what this is. So if you want to have a new chart layout, a completely new TA for the same equity, right? You can do that on here.
Yeah.
But I believe you will need a more
Pro
advanced
Plus
version of Tradingview to do it.
Yeah.
Right now it's not even letting me do it on here.
Yeah, you will need Pro Plus. Another thing this
Pro
is.
Plus, yes.
Another thing this is useful for is if you are trading multiple strategies, you can have different chart layouts with each strategy on each separate one. So very, very useful. And you can actually see the same thing for indicators. So if Austin would be so kind as to bring up a rectangle.
Or you mean yeah.
Yeah. So if you double click on that rectangle and go into the settings, you will see on the bottom where it says template, you can have completely different settings for different rectangles. As you can see, Austin is a boomer and does not have any yet. But for example, if you wanted one that was just a white outline, you could do that. I have one for my Fibonacci clusters. I have one for my support fractals. I have one for my resistance fractals. You can make it all different colors, different opacities, whatever you wanted. Just allows you to set up different templates very, very easily. I find that to be incredibly, incredibly valuable.
And then, of course, right, you can make different ones, but if you want to go back and revert back to the defaults, you can absolutely do that, right? So if I go here and make it white, if I go back apply defaults, it'll go back to the original rectangle with its colors and backgrounds and all of its same, everything back to original.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's exactly what you can do.
And Austin, would you like to take us into watchlist functions?
Yep, we can go over to your watch list. So the watch list is very, very important, and this is what's going to make you very efficient on TradingView, right? Having your watch list tab up here all organized and having everything that you want to look at here for you is extremely, extremely important. So if you go up here to your top right, you will see watch list and details. It is the first thing on the right, and you will get your watch list. I have a lot of stuff on my watch list currently, but this is absolutely customizable. If I wanted to go add something new to my watch list, say I wanted to add, I don't know, what's something random, blah, 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 ABBA, whoops, go here. Ooh. I don't know why I can't type. Well, I can't type, Logan, so
That's weird. Okay, well, if normally you can type, and you can just very easily add things to your watch list, and you can have separate watch lists as well.
Yes, absolutely. And I just want to make sure that I don't know why it's not letting me type. I think that's very odd.
It is rather odd.
My mouse, so that's good. Can I type on Google? No, I must be having something wrong. I did just get a new keyboard.
Perhaps keyboard issues.
Yeah, perhaps something happened with that. Oh well, I don't even think we need to type anyways from here on out, but yes, you get the idea. You can go to your watch list and you can add something new to your watch list, right? You type it in, you can go down, click on it, right? Let's say if I wanted to add AZL, this right here, I can go here, press, oh well, that's compare. I would go to watch list, I would type it in. Anything here, I can just add. Let's say if I wanted to add Ethereum tether, I go to the plus button, add to watch list. Boom, it's there, right? This would be for comparing. If you wanted to go to your add to your watch list, you click the plus sign above your watch list, and that's how you'll add stuff. Unfortunately, my keyboard, oh, there goes my keyboard. Look at it, now it's working. I don't know how that's possible.
That actually answers a question of mine, because I'm pretty positive you can press backspace on drawing tools and delete them. I think you might have just had a keyboard issue at the time.
Perhaps, yes. Yes, that could have absolutely been it. But there also is more stuff to the watch list section, right? You can also go up here to this pie chart, and it'll actually show you a distribution of your watch list, right? So it can show you how many stocks you're looking at, how many cryptocurrencies you're looking at, and then obviously if you're looking at any indexes, and then economic, right? What sector stuff is in majority. You can see that I'm majority cryptocurrency, and I do look at a lot of electronic technology, right? So very cool to visualize your watch list. And obviously down here you can see the change when it comes to day, the price of stuff, all the information you need is right there. So very cool, very cool. The watch list tab is very important.
Yeah. There is a couple of more things. If you actually right-click on your watch list, you can also create subsections, which is really useful if you want to separate your watch list by stocks, by crypto. You can press the Add Section button right there in the middle. Yeah, you got it. And you can actually just create little highlights. Very, very easy way to distinguish things in your watch list, make it a little bit more organized if you like that. And there's also a flagging function, and that's something I use quite a bit as well. So if you're, for example, waiting one trade that you're in, perhaps you can flag it with a red flag. Or if you are, you took a trade on this pair and you need to mark it up later in the day, you could leave a blue flag on it. But by doing that, you just highlight the watch list function, like where Austin is on BTC right now. There's a little flag button right next to where it says BTC on the watch list, and you can pick the color right there. And then if you actually go up to the drop-down menu where it says watch list right above you, you'll be able to go to your red list or your blue list, whatever would be flagged.
Right. Yes. And this is a very useful tool, as you can see, especially if you have a large watch list that you're looking at a lot of things. Mine's not terribly large. I'm looking at 62 things right now, and I, in my head, that number, I feel like I look at more than that, but apparently it's not that large. But you can imagine how something like this, right, by being able to categorize your watch list, if you had, 200, 300 different things that you're watching, you could see how that could become very useful very, very quickly.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Yep, and obviously you can go and rename, you can make copies, you can import your list, you can export your list, you can clear it, you can do all this stuff to make your watch list more catered to how you want it. So
that's why TradingView is so great. Yeah. So, and then we were going to just quickly cover logarithmic charting, so shouldn't take too long.
Perfect. Perfect, right? So if you go over down here, and this is important, guys, I definitely recommend if you haven't watched any of our trading strategy videos, trading on a logarithmic scale is very important. If you turn off logarithmic, right, you won't be able to notice it on smaller time frames, but it essentially makes your y-axis exponential, right? So right now we're looking at a standard linear chart. This is Bitcoin. If you go down to your little gear tab right here, you'll be able to click on this and you'll see logarithmic. You click on that and it will make your price action much more easier to look at, in my opinion. Some people like linear scales. I like logarithmic scales. Logarithmic, the only difference is, right, your y-axis is exponential. So that it essentially allows you to visualize price more relative to its true volatility compared to previous price action. Linear can be a little bit fooling sometimes.
Yeah.
But at this gear tab, right, not only can you change stuff from logarithmic to linear, but you can also control a plethora of other things, right? If I wanted to invert my scale, if I wanted to see, this is Bitcoin, if I wanted to take it and turn it upside down, I can do that, right? If I wanted to go here and change my y-axis to percents instead of dollars, right, USD amount, I can do that. Now it's at percentages. So you have a lot of freedom when it comes to how you want to change your X and Y axes. Right, the units, the currency, countdown bar to bar close, right? So how long until that candle is going to close? All that stuff, very, very useful. And yeah, go down right here to regular. Yep. So definitely go ahead and experiment with the gear box down here if you want to mess with your X and Y axis on your chart. I do it all the time, so definitely think that you should go ahead and experiment with it as well.
Yeah, and then another tool that's really helpful, Austin, if you just want to zoom in somewhere random on the chart, like just zoom in really far.
Okay, you want me to stay on one?
Just zoom in really far. Just zoom in really far.
Okay.
So if you ever are, get lost on the chart, you don't really know what you're looking at, if you click auto on the bottom right, it will automatically reset your chart, so you'll be able to very clearly go back to where price is and, kind of just reset things.
Right. Auto is a little weird. If you ever feel like your chart is acting funky, you might have auto on, and this will make it so the way in which you move the chart becomes a little bit limited and a little bit funky. I typically like to have auto off because I like to have as much freedom as possible with my charting. But yeah, if you ever get lost, pressing the auto button can definitely get you there, right? And what Logan means by lost, right? Like if you ever get in a situation like this and you're like, oh, I don't where's price? I don't know, right? You click the auto button, you can just zoom out, and you'll be very quickly brought back to reality. So, yep, that is that button, and that is all down here. You can also change, right? You have your log button. You can have your percentages toggle right here, right? So if I want to change my y-axis from percentages to dollars, you can do that from just a button here rather than just clicking on this, right? So there's shortcuts to everything in TradingView, and there's multiple ways to do the same thing. So it's important to understand that. But
absolutely.
Yeah.
So we are reaching an hour here, and we don't want to keep you guys too long, so we're just going to quickly go over the last couple of things we had. And those were just really the social side of TradingView. So TradingView is actually a social platform. While most people do just think it's a charting platform, it does have a social side to it. On TradingView's main page, it shows a little bit more of this, but on TradingView, as you can see on Austin's chart, in the top right, it says Publish. People can publish their trade ideas, they can publish educational videos, and you're actually able to interact with these people and follow them. So for example, let's say you find an analyst that you really like. Let's say you really like Austin stuff, and Austin's consistently posting on TradingView. If you follow Austin on TradingView, you will get an alert on this page whenever Austin posts an idea, and you'll be able to see his trade idea, what he's looking at, and that could be very, very useful to a lot of people.
Yep, you can see here I have posted a few charts, right? You can see this got 215 views and likes and comments and stuff, right? So TradingView is a social platform to some extent. Some people may not utilize it to its fullest potential as a social platform, right? If they even have BMs and messages here, right? You can see I don't know, the only message.
This guy wants to follow you.
How do I follow you, right? So I don't necessarily use it too much, but yeah, TradingView is very much a social platform for people who enjoy technical analysis. And there's a big world of that, and you can go find a lot of really, really cool ideas on TradingView that people make. So I definitely encourage you to go and kind of experiment in that world. Look around. People have really, really cool ideas.
Yeah. And then just to quickly touch on the last couple of things, there is a comparison that you can do which allows you to overlay. Let's say you want to compare SPY to Bitcoin or whatever, you could very, very easily, if Austin will demonstrate very kindly, overlay Bitcoin price action on a SPY chart, for example, or whatever two assets you'd like to compare.
Yeah, so if I go here, right, I have Bitcoin. I can go up here to this plus sign right next to Bitcoin, and it'll say compare or add symbol. I go ahead and press the plus sign, and then, right, let's say if I want to overlay Ethereum over Bitcoin, right? So we would do Ethereum USD. We can do the Coinbase. We go to same scale. We press this button, and you will see we are quickly brought to a chart where we can see Ethereum and Bitcoin right next to each other. And there's many ways of, again, changing and editing this stuff, right? I typically like to unpin my chart, so I can go to no scale, and then now I can, overlay them how I want to, right, to visualize them better. And this is Ethereum laid over Bitcoin, right? And you could look at this and visualize this however you want to, right? So I could line up the COVID bottoms, right? And you can see that Ethereum has been outperforming Bitcoin, right, from a percent gain standpoint of view from the COVID low, right? And that's, you can see the divergence that we kind of witnessed here, right? Ethereum kept on going up when Bitcoin kind of started to peter out. Things, they do kind of move in correlation, but it's very useful for recognizing these things, right? And you could add multiple charts to this, right? So here I have Ethereum and Bitcoin, right? Let's say if I wanted to add Cardano to this chart. Oh, and now my chart,
the keyboard broke.
Thing is not. Yeah, keyboard's broke. But okay, so I added. What did I just add here? I believe I added. What is this? I don't know.
If you click on that down arrow next to Bitcoin, you'll be able to see. Oh, it looks like you added TSM.
TSM, yes, TSM. Yep, so there's TSM chart on the same chart with Bitcoin and Ethereum. I don't know why my keyboard's giving me problems today, guys. I did just get a new one, so I'm going to have to go and figure out what that's about. But yeah, you can add essentially as many as these as you want. I don't believe there is a limit, Logan. Do you know if there's a limit?
No, I don't think so.
For how many you can add? I don't believe there is. Yeah. So
until you can't read anything else.
What's that?
Until you can't read anything else.
Until, yeah, right. Until you can't read anything else. But yeah, I've stacked a serious amount of different charts on top of one another. So it's definitely something useful to do, especially when you're looking at sectors, right? Like when you're doing comparative analysis. If you're looking at the whole tech sector, right? You could overlay Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, Google, Amazon. You could overlay all this stuff, and then you could look which one's stronger right now when I overlay the price action. So a very, very useful tool when comparing different symbols with each other. Yeah.
Yes.
Very useful.
And then just the last couple of things we have is the fact that, TradingView does have its own script. So in Pine Editor, that's where people are creating, different strategies that you can throw into the strategy tester, or they're creating different indicators. I know people, find different ways to add multiple indicators into one indicator, and then that's all via Pine Editor. So if anybody's building an indicator, they are most definitely using Pine Editor. And obviously through there, you can find the strategy tester, which is, adding different indicators together and having TradingView go back in time and back test it for you, which is very interesting. And also they do have a built-in stock screener, which is very helpful for some people.
Very cool. Yep, I use the built-in stock screener sometimes to just take a look at what's going on. The Pine Editor, though, is very, very significant. This is probably one of the most popular features on TradingView, right? This is what allows people to make these very intricate custom indicators that we were just looking at the community scripts, right? They make them in Pine script. Pine Editor is its own language, I believe.
Yeah, so Pine script is the language, and then Pine Editor is just what they use for TradingView.
Right, Pine script. Yep. So it is its own language. So it does take, right, if you do want to go and start making your own scripts, it does take a little bit of, time and effort to understand how to do these things. And there's plenty of, tutorials on YouTube on how to make that stuff and how to write in Pine Editor. So definitely check those out.
Yeah.
I'm not big on Pine script. I'm not too good at it. Logan's pretty good at it though. Logan, you know a little bit about it.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody in here knows Python, you'll pick up Pine script rather quickly. I was just playing around with it myself. And if you highlight over any indicator, for the most part, you can actually view their source code rather easily. So yeah, if you click that button right next to the gear, the two parentheses, the two brackets.
Oh, yes.
So that'll show you all of the Pine script language that it used to make that indicator itself. So if you want to edit it through there, you can. That's pretty much how I figured out how to use it. Yeah, very, very useful stuff. And then something that we just were looking at, which is super awesome, is TradingView now offers paper trading accounts. So you can actually trade with some brokers directly through TradingView in the order panel, which you can see on the bottom as well as on the right side, right there, the up one. Yeah, there you go, the order panel. You can create a paper trading account through TradingView. You can also connect to those brokers listed right there. And actually, funny enough, TradingView has one of the best execution platforms I've ever seen. It makes like order execution the easiest that I've ever seen, and I've experimented with quite a couple execution platforms. Much easier than Thinkorswim, 10 times easier than Interactive Brokers, even easier than MetaTrader 4. So it's definitely worth looking into, especially if you're paper trading. Check out Paper Trading by TradingView.
Have you ever tried executing orders through TradingView?
I have.
And it worked well?
It worked super well. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The order execution on it is phenomenal. It actually automatically calculates your risk for you depending on your stop loss, your take profit. It's very, very useful.
Very cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a lot of stuff that we just went over. If anybody has any questions, I know that there's only, there's not the biggest crowd in here because it is rather, it's a lot of information. But if anybody does have any questions, we would love to go ahead and take those. Hopefully we'll be able to answer anything that you throw at us. But yeah, that's about it for TradingView. We went over all the basics, how you're going to want to operate this platform. Obviously, we didn't go into everything, right? There's streaming. You could go into your notifications. You can go into adding notes. You can go into your object tree, right? Multi-select tools, the help center, right? There's a whole, the world of TradingView is very, very massive. What we came here to do today was to teach you how to use TradingView to help assist with your technical analysis, right? And that was essentially understanding what these main tools and what these main things up here do to help you to apply different stuff on your chart, different indicators, compare charts to change your price action, make your chart visually appealing, all that stuff. It's very, very necessary in being a trader on the market. So,
yeah.
So understanding your software is important.
Yeah, I mean, we find our edge, our source of alpha, completely through technical analysis. And, in order to do that, we need to find the best charting platform available. And, through our experience, TradingView is the easiest and best to use. But perhaps TrendSpider can overtake them in the future. But for now, in my professional opinion, and I can say that because I've been using TradingView for, almost 5 to 6 years now, TradingView is by far the best charting platform out there.
Especially there's no skill gap to it, right? You
Yeah.
can be a complete newbie, complete novice, or you could be an advanced master that's been trading and doing TA for 30 years, right? This platform is really viable for anybody to use.
Yes.
So, if you're not on TradingView, I definitely suggest heading over, trying it out, and again. The platform of TradingView is vast, so there are some things that we did not touch upon. We tried to keep everything consolidated within a reasonable amount of time. It is Saturday, but we do these EDU calls for you guys, and we hope that some of you guys got value out of it. This call will be recorded, so if you want to go back and reference anything, then you absolutely can. But if you have any questions, anything, right, and even if you don't have questions right now, if you have questions in the future pertaining to anything on TradingView, any of the analysts over at OBR, especially Logan and I, will be more than happy to help you. So,
I just have one question there.
Sure.
It's actually outside of TradingView, but just since I'm only on the call, I said I'd ask it. What platform do you prefer to use to trade?
Yep,
Thinkorswim.
So I prefer Thinkorswim on TD Ameritrade.
Yeah, if you ask anybody in here, they will tell you Thinkorswim.
Yep. And Thinkorswim also has their own charting platform, within their software. But in my opinion, I believe that TradingView is a little bit,
better.
Superior to
It's
that.
definitely superior.
Yeah,
I'll go down fighting on that hill. TradingView is so much better than Thinkorswim charting.
You say that you would die on that hill?
Totally.
Yeah.
I don't care how long you've been using Thinkorswim. The charting platform is subpar compared to TradingView.
Right.
One thing I could chip in about Thinkorswim as well. A lot of people don't know this. So you do pay a small fee on there though, but like they all said, it's a phenomenal platform and the charts are great, everything's great that you get from it. Now you could call them and they will lower that fee for you as well though. A lot of people don't know that. You could actually save yourself some money.
Awesome.
On Thinkorswim you're talking about with your
Yes,
order
you
execution.
could call.
Yes.
You could call Yep, TD up, and they will lower the fee for you. So like I had like a 20 cent reduction on my.
I believe the default is 60 cents. Am I wrong about that? I believe it's 60.
I believe
60,
so.
62
And
cents.
then I'm down
65.
to
Yeah.
40 after like calling them right now, or not too long ago.
Cool. Yeah, I didn't know that you could, talk down your.
Oh yeah, no, take advantage of it.
It's cool. Yeah. Very nice. The TD Ameritrade has wonderful customer support. So if you ever need to get a hold of them, you can do that very, very quickly.
Absolutely.
Right, so, sorry, Thinkorswim is TD
Yes.
Ameritrade, is it?
Yes.
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Thinkorswim is the trading platform on TD Ameritrade, right? So TD Ameritrade is like the base company, and then they built Thinkorswim to be like a very nice platform for traders to use, but it's still part of TD Ameritrade.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
So D-Man said, is there a way to use TradingView to execute and manage your options if, say, you'd have to walk away from your account for a bit? So in my experience, the only person that I know was able to get options to work on TradingView directly was Paco, the moderator in here. I'm pretty sure it's just used for, Forex trading. I'm pretty sure you can do leverage crypto trading through some of the brokers on there, but also equity trading. And in terms of managing positions, absolutely. You can move your stop loss. You can have a trailing stop loss set. Everything that you would have on a normal, order execution platform, they have.
Absolutely. Yeah. It may not be the easiest thing to get set up, especially for options. But yeah, TradingView can definitely be a tool to help you out with that, for sure. Definitely much easier with, trading stuff like crypto and general
and equity
shares of companies, rather than options contracts. But I don't know, they could implement something soon revolving more around options.
Paco made it work, so perhaps it already does work.
Right.
We love to hear that, Ryan. But yeah, I mean, if anybody has any last minute questions, we can take them. I know we kept you guys in here a little bit longer than expected, but we just went over, I would say...
We flew through it.
We did.
I feel like we could have spent another 3 hours on it.
We could have.
You know what I mean?
In total, I think that we covered like a very, very large part of TradingView.
We did. We went through rather quickly. So, I hope that everyone was able to grasp this stuff. Well, again, we can only cover so much in a small amount of time. So if there's any other questions regarding anything else about TradingView, I strongly encourage you to ask those, whether it be right now or later. But I hope you guys enjoyed our bi-weekly call this week on TradingView and how to make your technical analysis more efficient, more better, right? But that's all I have. If you guys have any recommendations for what we should do for our next bi-weekly call, we would love to hear from you, right? We're always speculating and thinking for new topics to go over. Again, this one is a very, very broad topic that we did, right, going over TradingView. We could have spent multiple hours on it. I could have still been on the side trading, the toolbar on the side here on the left, this whole entire hour. I could have gone over every single thing in detail, how to work, how to change it, everything. But, you guys can go and experiment for yourselves with that. You don't have to be here for 4 hours going over TradingView. But there's definitely some things that maybe we did not touch upon, so that's why I'm, encouraging you guys to ask questions. But that's all I got. Logan, if you have any other closing thoughts.
My only closing thoughts are we greatly appreciate your guys' time and we greatly appreciate your attention. Thank you for coming out again on a Saturday night. I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your weekend, and we will catch you ready to attack these markets on Monday. So
yes,
let's get it.
We'll have our watch list will be out tomorrow.
Watch lists will be out tomorrow.
They'll be spread out throughout the day. Maybe some analysts will have them, during the afternoon, but most of them will have them sometime during, Sunday evening. So be on the lookout for those. All right.
Awesome.
Very good. All right, guys, take it easy. Thanks for stopping by today. Thanks for joining.